So as stated, I'm going to talk about my panel, Applications of Crowdsourcing for Development and Disaster Risk Reduction. We're in room 1.43 at 4 o'clock tomorrow. I hope to see all of you there. So I'm going to tell a little story to begin with. I decided to crowdsource my slides for this Ignite talk. So I posted on Twitter, help me crowdsource my Ignite talk, and just posted a Google Doc. Anyone could write to it. And this is one of the slides I got. So Earthwatchers help students use satellite information to look for deforestation. Somewhat relevant, not too bad. Came from this generic request. I also got this. I'm not sure if the cat's using his glitter and his craft supplies to come up with some sort of evacuation plan or what the situation is, but that's what I got. So let's define crowdsourcing a little bit. So it's asking a group of people to solve a task or a problem. That is what I did with my tweet, but I didn't really give any parameters. I gave about 60 seconds worth of thought to this whole idea and just sort of let it go. So how do we get sense from this huge crowd of people? How do you actually do something useful? How do you not end up with a cat? So there's one of the most important aspects of that is using software and platforms. I'm sure most everyone here has used Wikipedia before. Maybe you've even edited. Maybe you're familiar with Kickstarter, which does crowdfunding so people can back projects, or Flickr for just gathering photos. So our panelists are a mix of practitioners, engineers, software developers, who all have experience with crowdsourcing in one way or another, whether they actually are practicing it, creating platforms, and how are we going to avoid this cat? Cat's not invited to the panel, only to this talk, so shouldn't have to worry about him too much, but key will be how to avoid the situations where you get data you don't want, it's not useful. So crowdsourcing in disaster response has been in people's minds for a couple years. So we are going to go back to talking about Haiti and Mission 4636, which mapped needs from the affected population. And continue the discussion, how can crowdsourcing be applied to disaster risk reduction? Not as much work has happened in this in the past couple of years as the excitement that happened in 2010. There are plenty of platforms that could apply. One I work on is the OpenStreetMap Tasking Manager. We bought satellite imagery of Padang City, Indonesia, and asked our international group of volunteers to digitize building footprints, which then feeds into InnoSafe, which is impact modeling software being built. So you can actually determine if there's an earthquake here, if there's a tsunami, what's the chance of X number of buildings being affected. We're also going to look at other types of platforms, such as the public laboratories tools. They do a lot of kite and balloon mapping, as well as making sensors for measuring environmental variables, and how that might be applied to disaster risk reduction as well. We have one of the developers here from Ushahidi, a reporting platform which is got started reporting election violence in Kenya a few years ago, but has been used for disaster response. Can it be used to collect other information for preparedness? A project done by the Standby Task Force and the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team to map health facilities in Libya to have that data set. Can we collect data ahead of time? Can we get the crowd excited about it? Is this possible? Also with GeoNode through GFDRR, can we collect the data sets ahead of time? Not just government data sets, but data sets from other organizations and effectively share those. So we're also going to crowdsource questions. So if you're on Twitter, you are crowdsourcing. Literally, you are. You're joining us. You're asking your questions at the panel. I'll bring my own questions as well. I've already started the conversation on Twitter. And we're going to turn this crowd into meaningful information. How can we move forward? How can we do better planning? How can we create resilience using communities, individuals, international volunteers? How can we work all of this together to create a symphony of information and resiliency? So see you tomorrow, room 1.43, 4 o'clock. Thank you.